So I use this microphone. Dear colleagues, good afternoon and welcome to my presentation. First of all, I would like to thank Dinesh for the invitation. It is an honor for me to be here in such a good atmosphere. As you can see, my presentation is about vernacular architecture from the sustainability point of view, and especially from the point of climate condition and in connection with this climate change. I hope that by the end of my talk you will be a little more familiar if I am successful in this topic from my position at the National Heritage Institute. The examples are from Czech Republic because it is the easiest way how to show you. So now I will turn to short overview about this topic. My presentation is divided into three main stages. Of course, first of all, some general information is mentioned. Secondly, the building or the parts are described, including the most common natural phenomena. Of course, I had to leave landscape and settlements, although it is also very important to pay, and it would be benefit to start with landscape and then settlements, and in the end about the building themselves. So, and thirdly, some conclusion will be followed at the end of my short talk. I begin with the well-known features of the vernacular architecture and its sustainability. It doesn't matter if in connection with the topical energy efficiency of buildings, with another topic like ecological burden and so on, not to speak of cultural identity, which is, I think, a crucial topic for us. In addition to that, you can see other lessons or learning method and knowledge from the local tradition. So I think that is very important. I show something about cultural diversity and diversity of function, form, and so on. You can see several pictures. I think that is important, for example, to repeated use, for example, some beams or hinges and so on. It was quite common, of course, because it was quite expensive. It was not a ecological approach at the time, maybe, but it was about saving energy, saving money, saving resources. So also about stable layout, as can be shown on another example. So now I would like to remind that there is no doubt that in many ways the use of building material is of primary importance, whether it is about construction, shape, form, bearing capacity, thermal insulation, and so on, for example, fire resistance. As we can notice, despite of the material, the stable layout and traditional regional form can be seen on photos on the left. Because of stable position of the chimney, it means kitchen, stable position of other part of the house, for example, porch, a gate, and so on. So it looks very similar, although it was some changes, especially according to flammable material and so on. I think that this is enough for now for the introduction. Just to general to say that in the Czech Republic, although we are a very small country, we use all the techniques which are known in other countries. We use earth for this, we use timber, also we use stone, and later it breaks. It differs according to region, according to local, of course, local conditions, according to situation in some big center or not, and so on. So now a few examples will follow to show the issue in relation to climate change, in general maybe climate condition at the time, and adaptation of buildings which are exposed not only to climate impact but also are exposed to another social phenomena and another issue. The first example is about some homestead, and this homestead was rebuilt at a safe distance from some river in the Czech Republic. This retreat from the floodplain and ice flows took place at the beginning of 18th century, 1716, 1716 exactly, and many beams from the earlier house and bar was used again. I checked the map of today's flood active zone, and the location of the homestead is almost exactly above the nowadays active zone of the flood area, as well as the flood zone for Q100. It means 100 water level and flow rate. It is not based on measurement but on local experience. So I think that we can lesson from this knowledge of the local condition without some measurement or something like this. Another examples concern walls and temperature. For example, we discussed a lot about insulation today and the days before. For example, all timber houses have high pitch gable roof, and this roof overhanging the facade facing sunny sides. Of course, it was already said it has something to do with inclination, the position of sun in the summer and in the winter. So the walls made of beams were covered with down. In the Czech Republic, it is called fur coat. And it is not just because of thermal insulation, but there was another reason for this. The reason was anti-fire protection, regardless of the possible causation of the fire. Except for this, the appearance come to close the masonry building. So there are another reason, not just protection against the fire, and also something to deal with some rules and other restriction to show the house as made of masonry, although you can see it made completely of timber because beams are overhanging and it can be seen. So it was about walls, about temperature, about anti-fire protection. Another example concern facing of the walls. Usually lime paint was prevalent, reflecting more sunlight, and for that reason reducing heat gains. The heat gains in this case was lower in comparison to black color, for example. In the case of timber structures, it was also used as wood preservative. The lime, lime wash also allow walls to quickly dry out, for example, after flooding, because of the permeability of the lime. So I think it was quite common in many regions because of the properties of the lime and lime wash. Just a moment. In this picture, you can see that it is the old timber house, but the front facade was newly rebuilt, made of masonry, which was quite common because, for example, because of moisture and sometimes because of aesthetic Now I would like to highlight the importance of shutters against, for example, heat, wind, as well as against rain. Wooden shutters we could see also yesterday on our field trip hung on pivot hinges on the exterior. Movable slats allow the setting of different degrees, different angles in relation to shading and also in relation to airing if the windows behind them is open. These shutters also allow for complete closure, for example, in windy and rainy weather as a windstorm or hailstorm protection. So it is another example how to use the then knowledge about vernacular architecture, about traditional dwellings in villages. So another examples concerning opening is examples in relation to interior in the building, not just on the exterior like in case of the shutters, but also in the interior of the building. You can see a windowsill responding to the vapor condensation. There is a connection to dew point. Saturated air was captured on the cold glazing and its liquid state was collected in a drain cup. This drain cup was placed under the wooden stool. The stool was provided with the profile or with the grooves going to a hole drilled through the stool. So condensation water harvesting, I think it is very interesting example of the then knowledge and house operation. In many cases we forgot some knowledge about the house operation in the house. And basically I think it is very similar to today's air handling unit and reuse system. And I think that it is good to know about it, that our ancestors were clever about many physical phenomena, not just in our age. So this is another example I would like to show. The next one is in relation to roof. I would like to point attention to this part of the building. All timber houses usually have high-pitched roof covered with shingles and a roof in some areas overhanging not just south facades because of south, but also overhanging all facades, especially in some highlight areas. And beside heavy precipitation, a mantle of snow was taken into account, so overhanging one was on all facades. Apart from undergable rooflet, as can be seen in the picture, the half hip or sometimes just third hip was at the top of the decorative timber gable, and this hip was done also with the consideration of the wind, because it was how to say, the top of the gable was removed and the shape was smoother, against wind. So also you can see small openings for ventilation in the decorative gable, and this is also, it was good for natural airing on the loft, on the space under the roof, and also this small opening reduced the wing stress, the load from the wing on this gable. In relation to the shape, I think the roof frame was also very important. As far as stability is concerned, the principal roof truss was structurally rigid due to its triangular form. It was quite typical to use triangle also from the stability point of view. Beside this, further cross and especially longitudinal wind bracing were used as a common occurrence in all types of the roof, as we could see before. In the case of snow cover. High-pitched roofs are also better compared to, for example, flat roofs, because it was much easier for snow to fall down. Another example is about covering, because I think that the covering time was equally important like structure, so at the same time it was important what to put on the roof truss. As the example, a polygonal barn was covered by churches and shingles. The eaves and ridge is shown because I think that there is no need to remind here that in both cases it was a highly flammable material, easy to soak in wet. An adaptation to climatic condition concerning the material is evident here from the location, form and stability. Firstly, it concerns the risk of fire, because usually these barn covered with thatches and shingles was standing alone, and later when it was covered by tiles, it can go close to the other buildings of the farmstead. So this is a risk of fire. Secondly, the risk of precipitation and wind. It can be seen because they were high pitch, more than other type of the buildings, and sometimes you can see that these polygonal barn were round shape at the ends because of wind. So it was another reason, not just to fast rainfall down, but also some aerodynamic shape against a wind. Thirdly, of course, there was long walls, and inside this barn, of course, a lot of roof bracing to ensure the stability. Before conclusion, I would like to show one more example as the exception confirming the rule in our case. Although the low-pitch roofs are seldom found on the territory of today's Czech Republic, there is an exception in this very small area in South Bohemia. Here the Alpine-type houses appeared together with the foreign settlers, of course, whether from Bavaria or even far away. And on these treeless plains, the shingle roofs with a shallow pitch were overstressed, maybe more than pressure by uplifting. Uplift because of wind, and because of that, the wooden sticks placed over the shingles were weighted down by stones, as you can see on the right and in the middle. So there were stones and another sticks to weigh down the covering of the roof. So this is very, very important, of course, because of harsher climate. The log walls were covered with shingles too, but otherwise I think it was common in another, for example, mountains region and so on. So finally, I would like to point out that the vernacular architecture has always been well adapted to local climate condition. Yeah, I think that this is a general rule, not counting natural disaster, of course, it's like today's. So, but adaptation was the necessity, if I could say. So, paradoxically, much more damage in the cultural monuments can be still attributed not to climate condition, but to lack of maintenance, to improper use or no use, and especially to maladaptation. Unfortunately, often in the connection with adaptation to climate change. However, the number of cultural heritage losses due to climate change itself is also increasingly alarming without doubt. And thank you very much for your listening. Here are so my contacts, and thank you very much for attention.